Okay, so welcome to just a short annotation guide on Louis Sachs's novel Holes. First thing you'll want to be putting on the inside cover of your novel are these four themes. They are fate, justice and karma, friendship and ancestry. So fate is talking about the two plot lines that run through, the two timelines I guess also. The things that happen in the past affect the present and they affect Stanley, and the things that his family members did in the past affect him in the present. Justice and karma, you're thinking about the punishment system, the way that Camp Green Lake fits within the juvenile justice system of America, whether Stanley's being punished, as is Zero and X-Ray and all the other characters, whether they're being fairly treated and whether they're getting their just desserts. And karma is people getting what they deserve, which happens mostly in the previous timeline. In terms of friendship, you think about Stanley and Zero mainly, but also the other campers. And ancestry is the connection between the past and the present. So whereas fate is what's meant to happen or what's preordained to happen, ancestry is the past linking to the present. Alright, so the symbols you need to draw or sketch in the front inside cover of your novel are peaches, which I've called Goop, so as not to give away the actual name they're given further in the book. Writing, so anytime Zero is learning English from Stanley, whether it be writing, reading, spelling as they go through, you put a little symbol of these letters, or your own symbol if you prefer. God's thumb is where they try to escape to. It's the mountain that looks like God's thumb. Onions, they're important for a short amount of time in both timelines of the story. Lizards come up just mostly around one or two chapters, but they're sort of impactful upon threatening the kids, and they represent a theme that's sort of in the background. And kisses relates to Kate Barlow, but you'll find that out as you go through the novel. So motifs are things that reoccur throughout the novel and have greater significance beyond just what they are. The first one, holes, represents what the warden calls you make a boy dig a hole every day of their life and you'll turn a bad boy into a good boy. So it represents skill, whereas Zero is very good at digging holes and he's very adapted to the lifestyle there, whereas Stanley is very new to it and he talks about his calluses, and so the hole represents how well you can dig a hole, represents how well you fit in at the camp. Names are important, especially with the Yelnats family and other characters, especially the boys at the camp, and how they're given their own nicknames by each other to make it more personal and to show their relationships. The third motif is the physical environment. So what you'll notice during the book is that when Stanley is feeling good, Camp Green Lake is described as pleasant. There's clouds appearing perhaps to show signs that things are improving. At the end of the novel there's a significant change to the weather and also the physical environment, but you'll have to work that out for yourself. But just keep in mind, when Stanley's describing the environment represents his mental state, how he's feeling. Okay, so what I'm going to ask you to do is have a go at annotating the following pages, looking for the themes we've discussed and that I've explained, as well as the symbols and the motifs. So if you find one of the themes, highlight it in the colour you've chosen. If you find a symbol, draw an image of that thing, and a motif likewise. So the pages are just chosen at random. I've got 58 and 59, 60 to 61, 88 to 89, 148 to 149, 204 to 205. I'll give you a second to go through each one in a moment, and then I'll explain what I've highlighted so you can see how you're tracking with your own annotations. So first up, pages 58 to 59 and 60 to 60. So for 58 and 59, as you can see here, I've only highlighted two things, and they're both for justice and karma. And I've also drawn two holes to represent the holes that they're talking about here. The first quote is, "You're the reason you are here, you're responsible for yourself, and you messed up your life, and it's up to you to fix it." So this is Mr. Podansky giving his view on justice and whose fault it is, and Stanley will learn to support this belief as time goes on. The second one, he figured that in a year and a half he'd be either in great physical condition or else dead. So this represents the severity of the justice at Camp Green Lake. So for 60 and 61 I've just underlined one thing for the physical environment. It said, "A cloud had appeared earlier in the day. was the first cloud he could remember seeing coming to Camp Green Lake. So this represents things are starting to change. He's starting to feel more comfortable at Camp Green Lake, and the cloud represents that. Pages 88 to 89, take a moment and have a go. So just one highlight for this and one motif, which is the physical environment. So the quote for Justice is, "Stanley wondered if this was how a condemned man felt on his way to the electric chair, appreciating all the good things in life for the last time." And the reason I've done physical environment here is when he says it felt good to walk in the shade of the 2 oak trees, the environment represents him enjoying life. And discussing his last rites or going to the electric chair is him talking about justice and the degree and severity of it. Page 148 to 149, take a moment and see how you go. Okay, so this one we've got all 4 themes represented. So for the line, he couldn't blame his no good, dirty, rotten, pig stealing great-great-grandfather this time, I've underlined that for both ancestry and fate, because he's talking about what happened in the past, and he believes that what happened in the past is affecting him now. Then in the next line, he says this time it was his own fault, 100%, which shows a significant change from the rest of the novel where he's blaming other people, and now for this he's accepting Mr. Podansky's view of justice being his own fault. And down the bottom for friendship, at this point Stanley's escaped, and he says, and as long as he'd come this far, he might as well look for Zero. So he's not admitting that Zero's his friend or that he cares for him or loves him at all. He just says, well, since I'm here, I might as well have a look for Zero, which is a very male way to express yourself. Page 204 and 205, have a look, see what you underline, highlight. Okay, nothing to highlight on this one, just a number of lizards. So this is the key scene I mentioned earlier, where lizards are important and they represent protectors here, in that they're defending the boys from recapture. Alright, and the rest of the novel's up to you to do. If you like, you can refer to these 3 videos which my class made. They went through each chapter and decided what was the key quote for each one, and this might be another good way to get you stuck into annotating the text. Good luck.